The past is filled with darkness, mystery, and things that defy explanation. We are drawn to these stories, not to be spooked, but to understand what they reveal about us.
But sometimes the truth is weirder and creepier than fiction.
This is Down the Rabbit Hole, Weird History. I'm Rose.
And I'm Jacob.
Join us as we explore the unsettling moments when human behavior pushes the boundaries of belief.
Let's dive in.
It's July 14, 1518. The city of Strasbourg is suffering. The air is thick, the kind of heat that sticks to your skin and makes it hard to breathe. The city is already on edge. Famine has stripped the cupboards bare, and disease is a constant shadow. Then a woman named Frau Trophäa walks into a narrow, sun-drenched street.
Is she looking for food or help?
Neither. She just starts to dance. No music, no partner. She isn't smiling, Jacob. Her face is a mask of grim determination. Her arms are flailing, her feet are kicking up dust. She is moving with an intensity that looks painful.
Maybe she just had a breakdown. People snap under pressure, especially in a famine.
That's what her husband thought. He tried to get her to stop, to come inside and lie down, but she pushed him away. She danced for 6 straight days.
Wait, 6 days? Rose, that's physically impossible. You can't go 6 days without sleep or water while doing high-intensity cardio. Your heart would just give out.
You would think so, but she didn't stop. She danced until she collapsed into a heap of sweat and blood. Her shoes were literally soaked through because the skin on her feet had worn away. And the second she regained consciousness, she stood back up on those raw feet and started again.
That doesn't make sense. If she's in pain, why isn't she screaming? Why is she still dancing?
Because she couldn't stop. And here is where the creepy becomes a plague. Within a week, 34 people had joined her. They weren't dancing with her like a party. They were spread out across the square, each in their own private hell, twitching and spinning in total silence.
This sounds like a horror movie, like a virus that only affects your motor skills. Was it a cult? Did they all know each other?
No, these were bakers, blacksmiths, mothers. They were strangers united by a compulsion. By August, the number hit 400. 400 people dancing in the middle of a medieval city, while the rest of the population watched in absolute terror.
400 people? That's not a breakdown anymore. That's a localized apocalypse. What did the city do? They must have quarantined them, right?
They did the opposite. The leading minds of the day, the city's physicians and priests, gathered to find a cure. They ruled out anything supernatural at first. They decided it was hot blood, a purely physical ailment where the blood becomes overheated and forces the body into a frenzy.
Okay, so how do you cool down hot blood in 1518? Leeches, cold baths?
You'd think, but their logic was, if the blood is hot, they have to dance it out of their system. They actually encouraged them to keep going. The city council cleared out the grain markets. They built 2 massive wooden stages. They even hired professional pipers and drummers to provide a beat.
Wait, hold on. They hired a band? They turned a medical emergency into a concert?
They thought if they gave the dancers a rhythm, they'd finish the dance faster. They even hired strongmen.
Strongmen? For what?
To hold the dancers up. When a dancer would start to faint from exhaustion, a strongman would grab them by the waist and keep them moving, forced to stay upright while the drums kept pounding.
Rose, that's torture. They were literally being forced to stay in the trance.
It was a death sentence. By the height of the summer, the chronicles say 15 people were dying every single day. They were dying of strokes, heart attacks, and sheer heat stroke. Imagine the sound of that square, the upbeat, jaunty music of the pipes playing over the sound of people literally dying on their feet.
I can't wrap my head around the logic. Why wouldn't someone, a parent or child, just grab their loved one and lock them in a room?
They tried, but the dancers were violent if you tried to stop them. They would kick and bite. And there was a spiritual fear, too. The public started to believe this was the curse of Saint Vitus. Vitus was a Sicilian martyr who, according to legend, could cast a dancing plague on sinners. If you interfered with the curse, people feared you'd be next.
So the fear itself was fueling the fire. But give me the grounded side of this. There has to be a biological trigger. I've heard about the rye bread thing, the mold.
Ergotism. It's the most famous theory. Ergot is a fungus that grows on damp rye. It contains lysergic acid, the precursor to LSD. It causes hallucinations, tremors, and violent muscle spasms.
So they were all high. That explains the trance, doesn't it?
It explains the twitching, but ergotism also restricts blood flow. It causes gangrene. It makes your fingers and toes fall off. It's very hard to dance for days on end when your limbs are literally dying. Plus, ergot doesn't usually make people move in a coordinated rhythmic way for weeks. It's too messy.
So if it wasn't the bread, and it wasn't a curse, what are we left with? Something much more unsettling, a mass psychogenic illness, what we call mass hysteria. But to understand why it happened in Strasbourg, you have to look at 1518. It was a perfect storm of misery.
How bad was it?
Beyond bad. The harvest had failed for several years. People were eating grass to survive. On top of that, new diseases like syphilis were appearing for the first time, and the English sweat, a terrifying disease that could kill you within hours, was sweeping through Europe. The people of Strasbourg were living in a state of absolute, chronic, high-level terror.
So the brain just snaps.
Exactly. When a population is under that much stress, they become highly suggestible. If you believe in a dancing curse and you see someone start to dance, your brain can trigger a dissociative state as a way to escape the reality of your starving life. You aren't choosing to dance. Your body has simply taken over because the mind can't handle the world anymore.
It's like a mental safety valve that accidentally kills you.
That's a good way to put it. It was a contagion of the mind. The more people danced, the more permission it gave the brains of the onlookers to join in.
So how does a mental virus like that finally stop? Does everyone just die?
No. In September, the authorities finally realized the music and the stages were a mistake. They banned all dancing. They forbade even the playing of music in public. Then they gathered the remaining dancers, those who hadn't died yet, and put them in wagons.
Where did they take them?
To a shrine of Saint Vitus in a cave in the nearby hills. They gave the dancers small wax crosses and red shoes that had been blessed with holy oil. They led them around the altar in a quiet, solemn procession.
Did it work, or was it just more dancing?
It worked. Within days, the trance broke. The change of environment, the quiet, and the ritual of the red shoes gave their brains a way to exit the trance. The curse was lifted because they believed the ritual was stronger than the plague.
It's wild that the cure was just as mental as the cause.
That's the reality of how we're wired. We think we're in total control of our bodies, but 1518 shows us that under the right kind of pressure, the subconscious can hijack the wheel and drive us right off a cliff.
I don't think I'm ever going to look at a crowded dance floor the same way again.
You shouldn't, because while we think we're modern and rational, these psychic epidemics still happen. We've seen them in modern schools, in factories, episodes of mass fainting or uncontrollable laughing. The rabbit hole isn't just in the past, Jacob. It's part of our hardware. I think I've had enough of the past for one day. My head is spinning.
That's the thing about the rabbit hole, Jacob. Once you start looking for the truth, it's hard to stop seeing the patterns.
Well, if you've got a story that defies explanation, or just want to tell us how much this episode creeped you out, you can find us on social media.
Down the Rabbit Hole Weird History is a production brought to you by GX Works.
We'll be back next time with another deep dive into the parts of history most people would rather forget.
Until then, keep questioning what you know. Here is what we know. The truth is always waiting just below the surface.
See you in the hole.